we have the first point adjustment for the brand new Genesis format. And it is great to see that Konami is taking care and actually updating things quite quickly. Now, they had a lot of player feedback over the couple past days to see what needed to be changed and what really needed to be updated or added to the list. Now, let's get into it and let's talk about them. So, a lot of them, there's quite a bit of cost going up and cost going down, but now I would have to say first, let's talk about this whole entire piece here. So the initial point list was frozen at the end of August so we could focus on the Genesis loss without constant additional changes. So we built up a bit of a backlog from a further internal testing, and now your results will affect the points moving forward. Now this is great because they're actually going to be changing things that need to be changed, and I cannot wait to see what all has changed. Now, cards that universally see a ton of play will see their point cap go up, and cards that don't see any play will often see their point cost come down. So it's a check and balance thing. So point costs go up if a certain card sees too much play, and others go down when it deems not really worth playing, like a lot of the cards that are 100 pointers or even things that are like 50 points when you could just play a substitute that is way cheaper. So, of course, we will always keep both hands on the steering wheel to make sure that no FTK combos creep in. Even if nobody's playing them, point decay is not automatic. So, it depends on tournament data. We're thinking the IL update timing is somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks, and that will depend on data availability. In order to see which cards are getting used and not used, we need deck lists. We'll have the deck lists from big events that we're running, like the Genesis Invitationals we're running at upcoming YCS events. But we're hoping to see deck lists from in-store Genesis tournaments, Genesis public events ran at regionals, etc. Tournament organizers have never been required to send those to us, but you can help out too by talking about what cards you're seeing and are winning at your local events. Just talk about it in the usual places, so things like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we'll see it. If you can add Yu-Gi-Oh! Hashtag Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis to your post, even better. So, this is great. I appreciate Konami for doing this type of communication with this brand new format. It doesn't feel like it's tied to the OCG at all, and it feels like it's its own thing that the North American group of R&D is putting in their work for this actual tournament type of event. And we're also flexible on the update schedules. If you prefer a longer gap between changes or updates only when new sets come out, we could do that too, if enough people want. Player feedback is one of the best things that any game can have, and this flat out says it right there. If enough people want it, they will see how things go. 4 to 6 weeks of a range is perfectly fine because Master Duel already has that 4 to 6 weeks. Now, if they want, it could be 6 to 8 weeks because that means it's going to be a month and a half to 2 months for each change. And honestly, anything from a month to 2 months is perfectly fine with me. Now, I'm going to be playing Odeon most of the time, unless if things start to get changed. And then I'm going to have to adjust things here and there. Now, what else is there? Speaking of new sets, you'll notice Dominus Spiral and K904 Noroi from Doom of Dimensions have immediate point cost. Existing Dominus cards have point cost. Existing K9 cards already have point costs. So we think Duelist would expect strong new cards from these lines to come with at least some minimal point cost upon release. This was also common feedback from folks who had an early look at Genesis before it was announced. And that I do agree with. Because in the online community, compared to IRL paper play, players will be playing the Genesis format with new cards that haven't been released yet. So some are already trying the format with the new arching cards, the new rocket cards, by proxying them out or using online simulators to do the same effect. So people know, hey, this might be a problem, so let's talk about it. But at the same time, we're thinking it would be a little weird to pre-assign point costs to brand new themes like Dooms or Radiant Typhoon, both from Doom and Dimension right away. So let's see where they end up first. And do you agree? Let us know. I highly agree. If it's a archetype or a series of cards that already exists in the TCG, they should add an additional point cost, like the Dominus cards, the Molcharmy cards, the K9 cards. Hell, you can even give point costs to the cards for Yummy if you really need to, because sometimes, well, even though Link monsters aren't a thing in the format, you could just use a small Yummy engine to facilitate things for Synchro Summoning or Exceed Summon. And it's very interesting to see a lot of players on how they utilize cards. Now, the reason why I brought up Yummy in this discussion is because, well, sure, the Link monsters are banned, and that's absolutely fine. But if we look at a card like, well, the Yummy cards, if you have a Link monster or or all monsters well, I need to find the other Yummies for their wording first, because Marshmallow is completely different. If you control a Link 2 monster or level 2 Synchro monster, or Link 1 monster or a level 2 Synchro monster, you could special summon this card from your hand. So there might be strategies where you can utilize things like Glow Bulb in Yummy, so you could go into the level 2 Synchros, but you don't have access to Yummy Snatchy still. But you also have something like Marshmallow Yummy, which is if you control no monsters or all monsters you control are light beast monsters, you can special summon it freely from your hand. Now, I like that Links and Pendulums are not in the format at all, because it makes it more simpler and more, I would say, what's the word? More processable for the newer players, because pendulums are a mechanic that does confuse people, even people who don't play the game, because it could have been way more complex than what it could have been, where cards would have had double numbers on the scales, but they only stuck with one. And Link monsters are similar to Synchro Summons, and people are like, oh, they're good at Synchro Summon, but then you have a Link monster drop down on the field. And I appreciate that those are not in the game. And some decks could still play actually quite well. You had to play it completely differently, but that's the thing about this format that I like. It is just different to what modern Yu-Gi-Oh is. So your first chance to talk to us directly of any of this will be YCS Anaheim, where the first Genesys Invitationals and qualifiers will be going on. P.S. Whenever we update points, the Deck Builder website will always have them first, and we'll post an article here to the official blog post. The point list at the main Genesys page will probably lag behind a little bit. Don't panic, and keep in mind we're still in early access and hoping to revamp this in the near future. And this is the whole entire site here. You can see this is the thing that we covered the other day, and here's the blog post talking about all the changes. So let's get into that and let's talk about the changes. So it looks like Chicken Game is up to 7 points from 0. Dark World Dealing is up from 0 to 5. Demise of the Land is now at 1 point, so you can't play it with Mystic Mine. Dimension Shifter now is doubled. Dominus Spiral is 10 because it's newer, while I think Purge and the other one, and right, Purge and Dominus Purge is at 10, and Spiral is at 10 with Impulse at 30 because Impulse is a little higher and more usable in other pieces. Dracotail Arthalion is a 20-pointer now, and Evil Swarm Ouroboros is a 67 point now, which is good because it stops a lot of hand loop combos. Foolish Barrel Goods is from 0 to 3. That's actually a big consistency hit for your points. Into the Void is now 3 points. Noroi is 10 and Jokel is 13. They just don't want you to play VS K9. Ket2 Draco Tail's 20. Draco Tail is still kind of playable, but I don't know. Left Arm Offering is a 7 point. Light Sword and Dragonling is 10 points. That's absolutely fine. Barrel Canary is 5 and Bird Call is 20. That's a harsh reality. Mathemech Sigma is 7 points. So this does mean it works without the EMZ being there because, well, nothing can occupy it. Multi-Universe is at 3. That's kind of funny. Metaverse is 3 points. They literally killed the whole entire Mystic Mind stun deck. That's completely fine. Hope Harbinger's up to 20 from 10. Dagaris is at 10 points now. Paradise Smasher is at 67 points. Good, because that card's stupid. Draco Utopic Draco Futures at 20 points. And Number of All is at 70 points. You are not playing anything with that. Olheim the Manifested Makanko is at 33 points. They corrected it. This is a good change because they did the other one that no one plays instead of this. Ojama Duo and Trio, 2 points, 3 points. That's kind of funny. 2 points because Duo is 2, Trio is 3. Planet Pathfinder's at 3 points. Prohibition's at 100. Oh, that's crazy. Pseudospace is at 3 points. Psyblocker's at 61 points. Salesman is at 100. Star Syrup, Scepter, and Sovereignty are both at 5 points. Transaction Rollback's at 7 points. Trapaholic is at 7. And a Holly Sue's at 10. They don't want you to play Vanquish Soul Canine or Pure Draco Tail. That's crazy. And now the costs that are coming down. Arheim the Manifested Makanko to 0. Like I said, this one no one plays. Blackwing Chinook the Snowblast is at 0, and Zephyros the Elite got reduced by 2. Black Dragon's down by 33. Ooh, Adamantiplator looks better now. Droll Lockbird's down to 5. Gladiator Rejections down to 15. Harpy's Feather Duster's down to 30. You're damn right. Heavy Storm is down to 20. Damn right. Infinite Impermanence is down to 13. Pretty cool. Monster Reborn is down to 15. Well, Charming Meows is down to 3. You could just take this card off completely. Premature Burial is down to 25. Damn right. And Return of the Dragon Lord's at 7. Cool. What do I think about these changes? This is great. I appreciate Konami for a lot of things that they've done with this. And one thing I do want to say before anything else, they still haven't touched Pot of Extravagance. Banish 6 from your extra deck to draw 2 cards, but you're locked out of drawing for the rest of the turn. That's completely fine, apparently, because if we look at the entire list here, this is a lot of cards, honestly, now. We have Pot of Desires at 20 points, Pot of Greed's at 30, and Prosperity is at 40. They say that Prosperity is more better than Greed and Desires, pretty much. I do think that still Pot of Extravagance should go on the list because sure, it restricts you from drawing. It still gives you a draw 2 on literally a better Pot of Greed. Because some decks don't need to utilize the extra deck. And honestly, I definitely hope that things like that really, really do change. And honestly, looking at this list, Pearly, I feel bad for Pearly. 15 on Pearly and 10 on Lily. But overall, these changes are really good. And they're up to, they added 31 cards to the list. This is the biggest ban list that we've had between OCG, TCG, and Worlds. And it's just point restrictions. And this is great. I appreciate everything that this is doing. But overall, I am definitely going to build a deck for this format and see where things go. And hopefully it doesn't get nuked into oblivion. But anyways, this has been me looking at the brand new update for the first points adjustments and more thoughts as well. And if you guys did enjoy this, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video.